Otherwise I'd have to bring you down to earth too. I know this verse hurts you. I tell you what, I give you advice. I'm feeling nice. Your vices could influence your writing if you weren't biting.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. We're going to talk about AEW Collision from September 29th, 2023. And let me be honest with you right out of the jump. I hope Adam Copeland, government name Edge, and Mercedes Moné, government name Sasha Banks, shows up on AEW Wrestle Dream. The reason why is because this show is Rampage with extra steps. I don't even see why this show is not worth watching, if we're being honest. All right. I was very disappointed in this show. It was boring. So that alone is a problem. Yes, there's people on here that you don't see all the time, but there's also people on this show that don't need to be on this show at all. All right. And it's very disappointing. So they definitely need some talent. So Tony Khan has Godzilla wallets. He needs to get like a Pyrex jar, scoop out all of the gold coins from his vault and put them on the desk of Adam Copeland and Mercedes Moné in order to get them to come to AEW. However many scoops it takes, because this show is becoming Rampage and nobody watches Rampage. So let's get through this. Let's get through this show. Andrade El Idolo, look at me. Look at me. This guy is wrestling Juice Robinson. This match was so long, right? I was like, okay, I like Andrade. I despise Juice Robinson. But I'm willing to, I'll give him 10 minutes. It seemed like they took 20. Bro, you give an inch, they take a mile, bro. Why would you have Juice Robinson on this show this long? Clearly, they just wanted to mess with me. You know, they don't like me. Why would you have this on this match? Andrade wins. Good. Great. Fantastic. Whatever. Let's just move on. Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho cut a promo with Tony Schiavone. Jericho claims that this company was built on their rivalry. Now it's time to find out whether they can coexist. Omega says he doesn't like Chris Jericho. He never will, but he doesn't like Don Callis even more. And he needs to know that he's going to have Jericho's back, and want to know Jericho has his back. They agree that they have each other's back, and then announce their opponents for tonight as being the Gates of Agony. You know, Toa Leona and Khan. Okay. So backstage, Prince Nana and Don Callis are talking. They're scheming as heels do, and as roving reporters around backstage caught them in the act of them scheming backstage. So as soon as the camera showed up, Don Callis was like, I'm out of here. So Prince Nana explains that they're going to be in the money once the Gates of Agony finish with Omega and Jericho for the evening. And I rolled my eyes because the Gates of Agony could not beat two gingerbread men not too long ago. How are they going to beat Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega? Okay, let's just see. All right. The Gates of Agony were defeated by Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. Well, guess you're not going to get that paycheck, Prince Nana. It's very unfortunate. Well, Khan submitted to the Lion Tamer, a.k.a. the Walls of Jericho. Jericho, after the match, said that they proved that they can coexist, but this is about Don Callis. Omega said that when he was brainwashed, everybody told him that Don Callis was a snake. Everybody told him Don Callis was evil. Nobody told him that Don Callis had gotten into some trouble in Impact for apparently sexually harassing Scarlett. Allegedly. We don't know whether it's true or not, but they both left around the same time, it seems. Anyway, he said that he was brainwashed by Don Callis, but now he's seen the light. And it's going to take a lot more than Don Callis jumping at Bushi in his dojo to get him to turn against his friend. Okay. Look, man, this Wrestle Dream thing, it is a daunting task. There's 14 matches. They have added 4 matches to this show since Wednesday. Since Wednesday, they've added 4 more matches to this show. Bro, this show going to be long than a bitch. All right? This show about to be long than a bitch. Oh, my God. Toni Storm, she was great here. She did a portrait of a star, her segment with RJ City, where she was asked when she think the peak of her career is, and she says she's peaked now. She peaks every day. Then she says that the old days were a happier time. You turned your hat backwards, got hit in the face with a pie, and everybody loved you. But now people expect you to bleed and cry in order to get a good write-up in the trades. Well, excuse me for being a star. And this was very good. All right, this was very good. Toni Storm is really killing it with this character, this gimmick. Then she grabbed RJ City's hand and was patting it and holding it, and then accused him of flirting with her. And he was like, "Oh no, I'm not flirting with you at all." And she's like, "What? Am I not good enough for you?" This was great. She is great. She made fun of her time in WWE where she was wearing a hat turned back or got hit in the face with a pie, and she kind of was mocking herself in terms of everybody expecting her to bleed and cry all over the place in order to get a good write up in the trades and with the dirt sheets. That, so this was very good. But she says she's gonna stay tits up, chin out, and continue being a star. She's really good. She's doing a good job here. This is one of the highlights of the show. Really good stuff from Toni Storm here. Not even that upset about she had to talk about getting hit in the face with a pie eventually. And mention it in terms of being in character is probably the best way to do it. Not in a complaint, I'm going to stand in the middle of the ring and rant kind of way. But this is how people thought that you could be made into a star, is that if you got humiliated a little bit. But then other people think that if you bleed all over the place, have hardcore matches, that you will be a star. Or if you're whiny and emotional, that you could be a star. And I also like the idea, she said she peaks every day. I mean, she gets better every day. That's good. This was really good. Then we started with Juice Robinson. How can we make this thing worse? How about Matt Taven and Mike Bennett? How about that? You like those guys too? I'm like, no. It's like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet and ain't nothing but rotten eggs and sardines. It's like, fuck, man, come on. All you can eat, but it's all shit that stinks. And shit that's gonna give you gas. No, it sucks. The Kingdom defeated the Best Friends. After the match, they had a shirt that said something about wiener punches. I'm like, bro, where's the Sandman from like Showtime at the Apollo? They need to, brush these dudes off the stage. Somebody's got like a giant crane and pull them off the stage. God damn, they suck. Anyway, they start talking about wiener punches and power drivers. They're going to take a red-eye flight back to Roderick Strong. They're coming back to Roderick Strong. And then told Adam Cole that it's very important, that it's an emergency, that they meet at Roderick Strong's house. They promise that they're only 6 hours away. They're coming straight to Roderick Strong's house. Or Adam Cole can go get surgery like the selfish bastard that he really is. I was like, okay, at least that line was funny. But I could do without Matt Taven and Matt Bennett. I really could. I don't need them ever. They suck. I don't need them ever. And it's really stupid that they're not wrestling for the tag team titles at the Wrestle Dream. Listen, I don't like them, but for the purpose of story, they should be the opponents at Wrestle Dream. And they're not, because Tony Khan cannot book. He sucks. Next, Julia Hart. They had a vignette for her where she was out in the middle of the woods with a lot of these blank masks. It was very creepy. I liked it. She's got like these claw nails that, she's gotten for the vignettes and everything. It's very cool. She cut a promo on Chris Statlander. It ended up being a Chris Statlander promo a little bit later. But it was good. So then Julia Hart wrestled some kind of jobber. And then we got Psycho Julia Hart back, where she was basically being physically dominant, bashing the jobber's head into the mat, doing all kind of violent stuff, very aggressive, very different. They're doing look, this jobber was bigger than Julia Hart. I've said before that Julia Hart probably works better as more of a trickster, where she's sneaky and devilish, rather than being a physical marvel who beats people up, because she doesn't do intensity well, so I was kind of like, this wasn't exactly what I like to see from Julia Hart, but it was fine. And she ended up winning with her moonsault. People have given her a lot of credit for her moonsault, and it is very good. It's a pretty moonsault. After the match, she said she called out Chris Statlander, said she didn't want to wait for tomorrow night. So Chris Statlander came out. Julia Hart immediately hid behind Brody King. And then, but Chris Statlander didn't come alone because she brought the best friends. Because if you didn't like them the first time, here's a double dose of poison. You know, if the rat poison didn't run you off the first time, here's a second scoop. So then, Julia Hart flees. Then, Chris Statlander said that she's the defeater of the undefeated, because the gimmick is that Julia Hart hasn't lost a match in a long time. And now Chris Statlander is the defeater of the undefeated, which doesn't exactly roll off the tongue like defender of the helpless or defender of the innocent or something like that. Oh, Chris Statlander. Boy. She looks good. She's a good wrestler. She needs help with promos. She needs some help. Look, it sucks so bad that AEW will have somebody like Chris Statlander where it could be really simple to help them, and they just refuse to do it. Chris Statlander, all she needs is just a little bit of coaching with her promos, and she could be a top tier woman in the business, especially in WWE or AEW right now, if she could just cut a promo. But she was off all that time, and they didn't tell her to go take a promo class, Toastmasters or something. Just get better at it. You don't have to be the best. I'm not saying you have to come back and be The Rock, but for Christ's sake, just get better at it. I am the defeater of the undefeated. Good Lord. All right, next. Claudio Castagnoli cut a promo about, being a world champion is not just about being a world champion. It's about what keeps you going. He said this business, a pay-per-view coming up, it keeps him going. So he put out an open challenge that was accepted by Josh Barnett, the War Master, student of Antonio Inoki. Barnett says that people aren't really ready for the doors that these open challenges open up. And he's going to see what the challenge will become at WrestleDream. Now, Josh Barnett is from Seattle. He's also a student of Inoki. He's a wrestler, a former MMA fighter, former UFC heavyweight champion. Guy runs Bloodsport, which is one of my favorite events of the GCW universe, I guess you could say. So I didn't hate this. I know a lot of people are like, who? What? Why? And it's because Tony Khan doesn't know how to book. Apparently, this was supposed to be Jon Moxley versus Josh Barnett. They had a really good match at the Bloodsport event. What was this? Last year, I think, or maybe 2 years ago. Josh Barnett, I think, won that match. And I think this was supposed to be Jon Moxley putting him, getting his win back over Barnett. And instead, because Moxley's brain is scrambled right now, they filled in with Claudio. This has the potential to be the only thing on this show that I care about. And people are going to be like, what? But look, I watch Bloodsport. I like the style that Josh Barnett works. Claudio rules. This is two tough guys going to go in there and beat the shit out of each other. The only issue here is that there's no storyline. There's two guys that I like, and they're going to go in there and work stiff. They're going to have fun with it. The crowd's it's going to get over because Claudio's going to get over with this crowd. This match does not need to be on this show. If anything, of the 15 fucking matches on this show, this isn't the one I would cut. However, if this is supposed to be an Inoki tribute show, this is the one match on the show that probably is a match that Antonio Inoki would be down for. So I'm here. I'm in there. Okay. So we got the Righteous, what they call the Bray Wyatt tribute band. They're cutting promos about, in truth, they don't need to physically hurt anyone, and that, there's nothing anybody can do to hurt them the way that they hurt themselves. And they're going to rip apart the bond between Adam Cole and MJF, and that bond, that string, is the Ring of Honor tag team titles. Dig what I'm saying, man? What? Adam Cole is not going to be there. He's not wrestling. So I don't know. This promo was clearly cut before Adam Cole got injured, right? So then the Righteous defeated two jobbers. After the match, they started talking about paper people. And the paper people who truly believe that MJF is the devil, because the devil pulls the strings, and the same strings that are attached to Adam Cole. And they plan to leave MJF with 1 foot, just like his buddy. And then they smashed the ankle of one of the jobbers, and nobody did anything, of course. There's a loud "shut the fuck up" chant. Really loud "shut the fuck up" chant. I see people unironically trying to be fans of the Righteous and on Twitter and in various comment sections. You know, it's okay. You don't have to like everything that AEW does. Look, I like the Righteous, and I think Vita Von Star is back with them. I think she was on Rampage with them. She adds a certain element of crazy to the gang, and I like that. So her being there is good. Thumbs up. She wasn't there on Collision though. Why not? Why wasn't she there on Collision? I don't know. Don't know. But look, the Righteous is fine. I think I'm more agitated that they're being put in this spot. If they were just being brought in, I would be fine with it. But it seems like they've been there in AEW for a while. They were working in Ring of Honor, doing nothing. And now randomly they get a pay-per-view match that doesn't fit what they should be doing. It should go to the Kingdom. And that annoys me. So I'm very annoyed by Vincent and Dutch, even though I don't dislike them. I was actually a big fan of Vincent when he was in Ring of Honor doing this very same gimmick. So I don't dislike the Righteous. But it's just kind of like, now is not really the time. And then, of course, Bray Wyatt just passed away. So doing something that's very similar to what he was doing, kind of, it's kind of like, poor timing, I think that's mostly what it is with me and my agitation about the Righteous. Is a lot of it is poor timing. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll get over it. If they both get beat by MJF though, you might as well just send them back to Ring of Honor and I'll never see them again. So they did a vignette for Eddie Kingston versus Katsuyori Shibata, which is probably another match that Antonio Inoki would be interested in if Eddie Kingston wasn't a fat meatball. All right. So the Mighty Don't Kneel, TMDK, they have been announced for a Trios Championship match at Wrestle Dream. 3 guys who have not been on this show ever. Now, at least, I am familiar with 2 of the 3 members of this team. One is Shane Haste, I think his name is. He worked in WWE for a while. He was Slapjack. And the other one is Bad Dude Tito, who I think is a throwback to the 80s. He fucking rules. I've seen Bad Dude Tito on Bloodsport. I've seen him in other independents. Bad Dude Tito needs to be a regular on this roster, right? He rules. He's funny. He's entertaining. He's got energy. He's got intensity. He's not small, so he should be a regular here, but he's probably not going to. And they're going to do the job to the Acclaimed. Fine. It doesn't matter. The main event of this show was a 8-man tag, and I was just floored by, the fact that they threw this on this show. I didn't know what the main event of this show was until the show started. So, Aussie Open with Ricky Starks and Big Bill. What an eclectic group of people this is. Versus FTR, Wheeler Yuta, and Bryan Danielson. What? Now, I get it. FTR is wrestling Aussie Open at Wrestle Dream. Ricky Starks is wrestling Wheeler Yuta. Bryan Danielson is wrestling Zack Sabre Jr., but Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be on commentary here. I did not want to watch this. If I'm not gonna hold you up, I didn't want to watch this. I didn't care about this. Brother, this was everybody's been trying to put over Zack Sabre Jr. on commentary. It's like, bro, this he's such a good mic worker. Really? Okay, to each his own, I suppose. I think everything Zack Sabre Jr. does is super boring. Just lacking in personality and charisma and intensity and character and flair and humor and anything. He had a joke where he did bring 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 bring. Oi, I gotta answer me phone. Oi, who is this? Oh, it's Brian Danielson. He says he's phoning it in. Isn't that funny, Nigel? Like, it's not really, you know. Isn't it hilarious, mate? Like, what? Nah. Nope. After the match, because of course, this match got thrown out. I think. I don't think there was there a pinfall or submission in this match, because it broke down and then I started hearing barrels ring, and I wasn't going to rewind it to see what happened because I don't care. So I don't know what happened. I think the match got double counted out or double disqualification or whatever. And then Zack Sabre Jr. got in the ring to face Bryan Danielson. And they got into each other's faces. And then Zack Sabre Jr. shoved Danielson. Danielson did nothing but get back in his face. Then he smacked Danielson, which led Danielson to smack him back. And then they tussled a little bit before Zack Sabre Jr. fled and got out of the ring. And this stinks. This stinks. This is terrible. This is no good. This is no good. Very bad show, man. Danielson surrendered the main event spot at Wrestle Dream because he said he didn't want to be in the main event, which was humorous. Danielson doesn't want to be world champion and didn't want to main event this show. He's one step away from saying he don't really want to show up. Like I've never met a top guy who everybody accepts as a top guy who says, world champion, I don't really want that responsibility. Look, Shawn Michaels has done it. Other people have done it in the past. Guys used to say they didn't want to be world champion because they didn't want to do jobs. So they'd be like, I don't want to win the title and then have to lose it later. Like there's a lot of like older, like the original Sheik and, various people like that who would, I think Bruiser Brody, people like that they would be in line to be a world champion. But then they'd be like, wait a minute, that means I have to do a job. Nah, I'm not doing that. And then they're like, nope, I'm not doing no jobs. So I don't want to win the title. And then Shawn Michaels post baptism, Shawn Michaels didn't want to be world champion because he didn't want the responsibility. He wanted to be able to go to church and all this kind of stuff. And Danielson is in the position where he's like, I don't really want to be a world champion because I just want to be able to wrestle random people that I feel like wrestling when I feel like wrestling them. And I don't want to be in the main event either. Even though you built this entire show around me, I don't want to be in the main event. No, thank you. Put me on third so I can go home. Like that, this new generation of guys. And I know Hogan did that too. Hogan was like, I got to beat traffic, brother. I got somewhere else to be, But, the Brock Lesnar's is like, main event. I'd rather go on first. If I can't go on last, I'd rather go on first. But Danielson can go on last and I'd rather go on third. I'll much rather do anything else, Very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Anyway, it's 14 matches on this Wrestle Dream card. Why would you want to go last? Who wants to be the last guy on the train? You can't find a seat. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Your brain was in the gutter. I know it was. There's a double entendre for you. Anyway, Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr., man, I think I'm going to take a nap during that match, Or I may just actually hyper analyze it because everybody claims that Zack Sabre Jr. is so good. Maybe I'll sit and watch it. I'll put my phone down and I'll watch it with my eyes glued to the screen to see if Zack Sabre Jr. actually does something entertaining in this show. Maybe I'll do that instead. Instead of ignoring it and saying, oh, Zack Sabre Jr., ugh, maybe I'll do the opposite. And I'll watch it and then I'll complain about how his boots are unlaced and how his eyebrows are uneven, or about how stupid his dyed hair looks, or about how thin his neck is, or about how he sounds shitty. Maybe I'll just do all that. Maybe I'll talk about his knock knees, how his knees look like his lower body swallowed an apple. How about that? Because people do that stuff with wrestlers they don't like. They hyper analyze them. So we'll see how I feel when the match time actually happens. But this show, basura. Again, it's Rampage. And I don't like it. But Toni Storm is great. Julia Hart is doing good stuff. And it's sad that, the show that got Andrade on it, Ricky Starks on it, and Bryan Danielson on it, that the stars of the show end up being Julia Hart and Toni Storm. Whatever. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They just